Welcome back to Next Generation's First Generation. This is our first episode back on the air since we have promoted and launched the show. So lots of thank yous to go around, especially Scott McGregor, Mark Adams, Chris Tyler, Brian Hughes, Stephen Lacey, Andrew Leyland, and Aaron Henley, who I had a wonderful interview with, to which all of the audio got erased, so hopefully you'll be hearing his voice either on this show or my voice on his show in not too short of a time. But the episode tonight is, Sascha?
The episode tonight is called Lonely Among Us. This is Season 1, Episode 7. The production code 108. The original air date is November 2nd, 1987. So that would have put me at roughly about 8 years old.
I was still toiling away at being a 5-year-old.
In November in the 80s, for me it was Columbus, Ohio, where the leaves were starting to turn. I was still pretty drunk off my Halloween candy. And it was getting dark earlier and earlier, so this show then became my nightcap for my evening activities as the sun started going away.
Nice. This was always... I wasn't watching the show regularly when I was 5. In fact, I, again, probably didn't see this particular episode until I was a teenager. This is not an episode that sticks in my memory very heavily at all, even though it introduces one of the things that I love most about the show. And if you know me personally, you will know already what that... and know this episode personally, you will know what that thing is, but I will tell all of our listeners when it happens.
Yeah, actually, this episode has a lot of firsts, which we'll be revealing in the during the playthrough. So, today we are watching our Netflix version. So this is the HD remaster, but if you watch along with your old discs or even VHS tape, which was released in 1992, by the way, you can go ahead and push play. We are going to sync it up. This is watch along, so we'll give you a countdown. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We have orbited the 2 major planets of the Beta Rena system, taking aboard delicate...
There's the Enterprise. Beautiful green planet.
Their major life forms, the Anticons and the Celi,
they are picking up some diplomats, the Anticons, and the Cellans, did they say? Oh, they're going to Pairliament. And there are the snake people. And the production cast actually called the 2 factions the Snakes and Dogs.
Now, one of the big things I noticed, I watched this on disc earlier this week, the colors on this episode are really messed up. The contrast is really bizarre. And I don't know if they're gonna, how much they will have fixed it for the HD version, but right now I'm still noticing the issues, particularly that shot where they were shown from behind. These guys look like the Snake Man from the movie Dreamscape, which I also didn't see till I was a teenager, but definitely nightmare fuel for a little kid.
Yeah, I do have to say that they were awfully creative for 1980s costumes.
Yeah, well, a lot more creative than most Star Trek aliens, actually. And this is, I think, the first time we're seeing the dress uniforms, if I am not mistaken.
Yeah. Parliament! Keep on going to Parliament. This is also where we first see the actor mostly known in Deep Space Nine, Mark Alamino.
Oh, no kidding!
Yeah. He has a non-speaking role as one of the aliens here.
That's awesome. Yeah, Mark Alamino, Golda Kott, who I believe will be our first Cardassian when we get to the Cardassians.
Mm-hmm. Sir, my sensors are picking up an unusual energy object ahead.
Uh-oh. Unusual energy. A big cloud in space.
Yep, and I mentioned this to Sascha before. These stars, the star field they're going through, is just kind of rainbow streaks.
That's right, because the spectrum was broken up.
Yeah.
That was the original concept, I think, of that effect, but it didn't look right.
Yeah.
So they are in a room called Sensor Maintenance, which we never see again. I always thought this was a cool room, even though it's just obviously a corridor they dressed up as a room.
It looks like one of the rooms that was on the Enterprise that we saw in Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
Where they had kind of that long tube-shaped section in the middle of the ship that everything happened in.
We're making a close sensor pass on an unusual object, Jordy.
Look to my left. Look to my left. I'm concerned about what's on my left. Look up at the screen and down to my left.
So I don't understand, though, because they say this cloud is moving at warp, and obviously they are not going at warp. That's a classic effect, though. You just drop a couple of ink drops in water and film the movement, and there you have Space Cloud.
Yep. Also very similar to the Space Cloud in Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan.
Yeah. And the first one, too, the motion picture.
Oh, yeah.
Going into then it wasn't named the Borg Cloud, but most people agree that was a Borg-influenced probe, V'ger. Whoa!
That's
Michael
a Klingon
Dorn.
scream.
Good on Michael for throwing himself across a set like that.
I think that's part of the Star Trek audition, is throwing yourself across a set.
Medical emergency. Poor Michael. He's got the twitch.
All right.
We are the opening scene.
Lonely Among Us. Episode number 7. It's the 7th episode of TNG. TNG.
Space. The final frontier.
So this episode was written, the story was by Michael Halpern, and the teleplay was done by D.C. Fontana.
He's a writer for the original series.
Mm-hmm. And then the featured music is by Ron Jones.
I love that the Enterprise makes that zip noise as it flies past.
Yeah, especially for no sound in space. That's pretty cool.
Well, no sound in space on certain space shows, but not on this one. They'll never say, did you hear that noise outside the ship? I'm sure I'll be contradicted by that in some other episode or by some listener, but...
So the director, Cliff Bowl, didn't really remember much from this episode. This was his first Next Generation episode that he worked on. Yeah. He previously worked on shows such as V and $6 Million Man. Now, it's really funny because V, that's what those snakes reminded me of. Was the creatures from V. Uh-oh.
I still haven't ever seen it, but I had a babysitter that loved V. And I was like, can I see it? And she's like, no, they eat hamsters. And
so Worf is going nuts and throwing people around. They sedate him.
The off-button hypo spray, as SF Debris calls it.
And then they ask if they can hear him. We just knocked you out. Can you hear us?
Well, I imagine it's similar to, what's his name? McCoy. She might not know a whole ton about Klingon medicine. Right. I mean, she's standing him up and making him walk, which implies she doesn't know a whole lot about medicine anyway.
I love how the doctor just asked the crewman there if he's okay, but didn't actually look for a response, and he said nothing.
He can come to sickbay later if he's hurt.
Oh, yeah.
I can't explain it. Could your visor device a malfunction? I got it, sir.
It's kind of neat because they kind of remind the watcher there what Geordi's visor's all about.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this early thing where they want to, they want to utilize his visor, the crew of the ship.
It's about the dietary requirements for
Dog wizard.
The Antikins want some food.
So did we, sir.
Now, this is really the first instance of the utopian commentary that we see in this show.
Bring them alive.
The new cell.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Yar was confused. We no longer enslave animals for food purposes.
Ah, so we're all vegetarians.
He's just sitting there, they're standing there thinking, I want bits. Kibbles and bits. Bits and bits and kibbles and bits.
So they eat tofurkey, basically.
Yeah.
24th century tofurkey. What I want to know, which of these dog people are Mark?
Yeah, I think they were just like the guy's like on the floor with his arm up on the sofa, like they were just smoking a J before Tasha and Riker came in.
Yep. This helmet that Beverly's wearing just reminds me so much of one of the early Borg outfits, where it's a crane cap. Just imagine a few more implants and lights.
Are you alright? Yes, perfectly.
Everybody's okay.
Both of us. Quite normal now.
Everybody's normal. Oh, that's so good. Worf, please continue to be normal underneath the thing. I don't want to move it.
The sensor maintenance room.
I remember monitoring the sensor console.
So, mysterious electricity has
That's the story.
first gone into Worf, then it's gone into Dr. Crusher, and she's looking spaced out and dismissive.
Yeah.
You think Troy would have picked up on something there?
Yeah. I think a lot of people act that way around Troy, and when she asks, they're just like, oh, they're just like that.
Remains uninvestigated, sir. I love a mystery, Data.
Uh-oh. Data's
Picard loves a mystery.
To that peace conference on Parliament.
Dun, 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 dun.
Warp 8, sir.
So they're going to Parliament. Warp 8.
Now, this scene coming up, this just shows how dismissive of Wesley his mother is most of the time. She's going to be really awful to him right here, and he's barely fazed by it.
Yeah.
Physical sciences of us. We're
As
studying
opposed
change
to
theory and
non-physical science.
That's metaphysics.
Really? You never seemed that interested in warp theory before. Dr. Channing thinks it's possible to force dilithium into even more useful crystals.
Yeah.
Just,
He just
just
keeps
cram
talking.
it in there. He just wants to pack it full of dilithium right up the tailpipe.
Oh, yes. The helm's located on the bridge.
Oh, man. Poor Wes. Nobody really likes him.
Something wrong?
No.
We're out of food. Replicator's broken.
The dog's on fire,
Yeah.
Mom.
I asked for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and it gave me earmuffs.
That actually comes up in a great episode
Yeah.
not too far from now. Captain asks for tea and he gets a plant in his cup.
She's doing with her hands like she was trying to decide if she needed to strangle Geordi. And then she's like rubbing her wrist afterwards like, no, wait. Oh, the sweetie. There she's going again like, no, wait. Soon my arm will be complete.
When such a diagnosis concerns a bridge officer, I expect a better explanation.
Then I will have to first run some cross-checks on the library
Doing
computers.
a lot of good hand acting here.
Klingons are
She's
going
doing the
into
typical, I'm evil, I'm hitting my fingers.
Use Science Station 2, Doctor.
And this is the video game scene where the NPC where you're playing as Dr. Crusher and the NPC Captain Picard's like, no, use Science Station 2.
Intriguing, Doctor. What does helm control have to do with medical cross-checks?
Data's looking very android there.
He just went through a unseen storyline where he learned that even though you're their superior officer, people don't have to answer questions you ask them.
Is something wrong, Doctor?
So, when I was watching this earlier, it shocked me that there are a lot of little incidental things. So, like, Dr. Crusher just kind of wakes up out of a dream after this electricity leaves her. In future episodes, such little instances would spark an entire story arc of investigation.
Yep.
Here she's just like, whatever. I'm going to pretend like nothing happened.
There was a malfunction in this station. I cannot bring any information up on it.
Oh. Station's going blank. Oh, Data. Oh, I love this engineer.
Yeah!
Mr. Singh. This is the only episode we see him in.
Yep. I listened actually to 2 other podcasts about this episode yesterday. I listened to Star Trek Monthly Mondays on Two True Freaks, and then a show called The Greatest Generation. And both of them had nothing but good things to say about Mr. Singh. I would like to hope that there are some Star Trek novels that take place before this episode where he is featured.
Nice little red racing stripe there
Yeah.
on the ship. You don't really notice it, but they do have racing stripes on their ships. There's also a couple that run right down the tops of the nacelles.
And you're telling me that there are no explanations for these malfunctions? At least, sir, all the department heads reported the damage repaired. That was not...
And this is, this whole new group in the meeting room here.
Yeah, we don't know who any of these people are.
I believe it was a rapid electronic short that jumped from system.
I really liked him. I wish they kept him
The
around.
only thing is,
Yes, Mr. Singh.
that should be possible.
So that would make him the 3rd engineer so
Yep.
far. In
A lot
7
better
episodes.
than Drunk Guy.
Drunk guy. And then you had that ugly lady.
Yep.
Then you had the
Spoken to the chief engineer, our guy, about this.
Irish beardy.
Yeah. Well, Picard has just said the name of the chief engineer on the ship is Argyle.
Argyle,
I will
okay.
have an explanation of this by the time we reach Parliament. But
Parliament.
Dun, 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 dun. Hey, it must be Christmas. Look at that poinsettia there.
Yep. So Data just sat through that whole meeting in a really weird area.
He's in
Just
the
kinda
Android
sta- yeah,
zone.
yeah.
you care to explain, sir?
Maybe his oil was smelly that day.
First officer, they are tools. We use these to dispatch the animals we consume.
Your food supply is not on the same deck as the Cele delegation, sir.
Oh, but they are.
Kill. I admit
So the Cele, they have to cast those heads in foam rubber, those
Oh,
snake
God.
masks,
the nature
and they took about 5 hours to make.
Oof.
you're on notice at all.
Yeah.
Probably had to ADR his voice too. I doubt he's actually speaking through there.
Oh yeah.
He's probably just muppeting around while they talk to him, and then they just added the voice later. His buddy's still sitting on the floor. I think he is.
And if any does occur, let me assure you, it will not be we Africans who start it.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, she's so nice to him.
Yeah, he is a diplomat. I always thought that they were very rude to these diplomats, actually.
Where did you go?
Sir, more power is fading.
Or if you were a practical gentleman compared to that other guy.
Yeah.
You've lost the warp in your computer time.
And
More 5.
we're going to see that Singh here has actually learned a lesson from the Naked Now. Because he's going to tell Wesley in no short order to take a hike in it.
Yeah. That's right. From Wesley running engineering to
Yeah.
go to school.
Subspace radio is out.
So what I don't understand is, how do you fall out of warp? Wouldn't inertia just have you keep going at that
Yep.
speed forever?
Same thing with that, they would not actually be able to do a full stop.
Yeah. I love these little laptops that they had before I really knew what a laptop was. It's like, cool, it's a display.
Yeah, the idea would be you would have a super desk, that little screens that came out of it.
Ah.
Therefore, her system's failures are not endemic to the ship, but are the result of the actions of an unknown
So this is the first in about 2 or 3 episodes where they kind of question, is the ship really space-worthy?
Yeah.
It's actually kind of shadowing the Iconian episode that's coming up shortly.
It must be someone from either alien delegation. Now, if the Ferengi could have bought or bribed...
Yeah, you're right. This was the first appearance of the Next Generation dress codes, dress uniforms.
Neither of you suggest any other system.
They're based off of the Royal Navy 18th century
Huh.
dress uniforms.
Inquiry. Private eye?
Here it comes.
Private consulting investigator. David.
Oh.
Crime.
This is the origin of
Most interesting argument.
one of my favorite things about the show. This is...
Probably not. However,
Data is about to learn about Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, yes.
And Sherlock Holmes, to me when I was 5, was a known entity for a number of reasons. The Sherlock Hemlock character on Sesame Street, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was on the spines of a bunch of books my dad had. My dad actually had a really cool tabletop Baker Street game that I wish that he still had, because it'd be fun to try to play now. I opened the box and went through it all the time. It was very 1970s. But the idea of, putting on the peaked cap and the cloak and just going out with a magnifying glass, it really appealed to me as a youngster. It still does.
Tally ho!
Yeah.
This is where he tells Wesley to get lost.
But I don't learn nearly this much in school.
I tend to agree, but the captain's orders on this are very clear.
Wesley, we don't need you.
You know what's funny? Captain never talks to me about that kid.
That's a very casual looking outfit for Crusher.
Do you think, she buys stuff like that and asks her 15-year-old whether or not he thinks it looks good on her?
Mr. Singh set me off the glass.
I've heard of people doing that.
Yeah.
You gotta let the commission
A friend of mine's mother went shopping for lingerie and was asking a relative if it would look good on their sister.
Oh.
And I'm like, no, those are not the things that you never ask.
Yep. There's certain things that boys just do not think or notice about moms and aunts. And anything they're wearing is on that list.
Oh, time to play taps.
Yep.
Da 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 da. He is the first cast member to die on the show.
Oh, wow.
So, another first. This episode's full of them. Data and Sherlock Holmes, the dress uniforms, the first death. Not the first engineer, this is like the third engineer.
Engineering to Captain Picard. Security alert. Picard. Lieutenant Worf, sir. I just found Mr. Singh. He's dead.
Oh. We have to find another engineer.
I would think that this far in the future, you would be able to resuscitate people that have been declared dead fairly easily.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because sometimes someone's dead and they can just work their magic in sickbay and back they come. But sometimes the script just says, you found them dead.
Yeah. Mr. Singh is definitely essential personnel. I think Wesley was hiding behind a pylon and came back because he knew Mr. Singh wasn't going to kick him out.
Probably repaired it just before he was killed.
He couldn't have repaired it, sir. The problems were inside the engine.
Who else could have directed it, Wes?
Cast member Will Wheaton rewatched the episode for AOL TV in November 2006. He criticized that the writing of Fontana in this episode, saying that around this time she appeared on the panel as a convention on how to solve the Wesley problem.
Yep.
But when rewatching the episode, he thought that maybe instead of sitting on this panel and trashing me, DC Fontana could have written intelligent dialogue for me and helped solve the Wesley problem herself.
Look at these guys. Here comes Tasha Yar. You know what we're going to do? We're going to kill all those snakes. Snakes.
It's
You just
walking
said
day!
snakes.
We're talking about hours here.
Alright. Can't get up. There we go.
It was a large meal, Lieutenant York. And a very interesting animal.
Yes.
Yeah, when I was watching this, it didn't occur to me that they were hunting each other.
Yeah.
You wanted me, Doctor?
Oh boy.
Concerning your memory blockout.
I still don't remember having one.
That's why we call it a memory blockout.
They should have all snickered.
It may restore your memory as to what happened.
Oh man.
Hypnosis. I'm really good at it. I have a lot of pendulums and dangling necklaces.
Imprecise, Lieutenant.
And here he goes. He's got this little pipe.
Oh, I love it.
We can learn something
Oh,
from non-
that pipe is great. I think they keep it for a while, too.
Yeah.
My good woman.
We fucked. Sorry.
It'd be so cute if Wesley went through a corncob pipe phase.
Yes.
I mean, most young men at that age went through
That would have been a funny episode, is if, Data gets into literature and decides basically that Wesley is Huckleberry Finn and keeps, bringing him, overalls and, you should feel free to walk barefoot. I created this raft program for you.
Oh, Data.
We're still in the dark.
Brent Spider said he had a lot of fun with Data when he could actually, emote or practice emoting.
And they have really corrected the color in this scene. It looked bad before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That they were too engaged in their own affairs to have disabled the ship and murdered the engineer.
He can't stop thinking about sex. He's all my good woman up on his previous conquest, and he's all they're too engaged in their own affairs. I was engaged in an affair once, Commander. Would you like to guess with whom? I said it didn't happen, Data. You said it didn't happen, but my good woman, it did.
When you first recall the sensation of memory loss,
Memory loss.
picture it exactly as it occurred. He's lying on the hospital bed, sedated. I'm walking up to him.
Could you point on the doll to where he touched
I
you?
lean over him to take the specimen. And I feel someone else. There's someone else who's there. Not a...
Worf is looking really bug-eyed.
Yep. Well, I don't know if Troy's in his direct line of sight, but I'd be bug-eyed too. Okay, she's not.
What was that? Does she have psychic powers in her hand?
Again, that's kind of
There
a
was something else inside you. Which confirms...
Just
Nobody-
a cue, I
yeah,
guess.
nobody likes it when you're talking to them and they walk up and put their hand 3 inches from your face, palm out.
So this is one of those... This is a slow-moving episode because the A story and the B story don't really tie into each other
Nope.
very well. They haven't really figured out the power of the conference yet to move the plot along.
I believe something invaded.
Best of Both Worlds did a lot of conferences like that.
Data this pipe, I love it. He's actually smoking it.
Proceed without the pipe.
Oh, yes,
I
sir.
would love it if he just crushed it into a ball.
That it cannot be a family member or one of the crew.
Yes, very unlikely.
Then who is it?
And our investigation was worthwhile, sir. We've eliminated both the delegates and the ship's regular complement.
Data, what are you suggesting?
I love it. He's just getting posed to do the...
He really wants to pick up
Yeah.
that pipe. Like, come on, let me do my bit.
Yeah.
Let me do it.
Back on the old axiom that when other contingencies fail, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
Thank you, Spock.
That's why witches used to do so much stuff in the 1600s.
He looks at the fish. Oh, that sweater's killing me.
Sometimes it's the result that counts, you know?
The great sweater, Wes. Did your mom make it for you?
What is it?
Town control just went down. She won't respond.
Bridge to Captain. You're needed here immediately.
Wes, alert engineering from your panel, alright?
When this came out, it received a a 12.1 rating in the households. The previous episode, where no one has gone before, which received a 10.5 rating. I think that's from the Nielsen rating.
Yeah,
so.
not very highly rated.
No, not at all.
Sir, are you alright? I thought I just saw him.
But back in
I'm fine.
back in elementary school, we used to always get the Guinness Book of World Records and look at what the TV show records were, and by the time I was in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, this was at the top of the running for its time slot.
Yep, that's right, it was. This was actually one of the most viewed episodes of Season 1, believe it or not.
Malfunctioning? That's cray-cray.
He's got this relaxed pose. As Picard would say, he's got a snipful.
In that case, make our heading. 925 Mark 3.
7. 3. 6. Wait, 8. 1.
You're just saying numbers now.
11.
Why couldn't you just said, go that way?
No.
And point?
Yeah, the captain is just saying numbers. Actually, that would be really awesome if they had like a in stellar cartography like a little globe that they actually could use to point, in exactly what direction I wanted to go.
Well, how cool would it be? There's a lot of real estate on the screen, or not on the screen, on the dome above.
Yeah,
If that could be their holographic cartography map.
yeah.
Where if you wanted to do a quick plot course with everyone in the room, you would just turn that thing on like an overhead.
Since we obtained only minimal information on our sensor pass of it.
Right data. I must go back to learn more.
Get in there.
Counselor,
Wiggle around a little bit.
you believe a ship captain should explain every order?
Well, obviously on this show,
That's
yes.
actually a good question, though.
There's a duality between oversharing and this is what I'm doing. Hey, there's the second time we've seen Cole Meany. He does not have a name yet. I don't understand if these are the two guys to negotiate peace and they can't even get along
Right.
in the same corridor.
A mere change of direction hardly
Ah,
justifies
the
the use
first of many should we mutiny the captain meetings.
Yeah.
at least 3 or 4 if
Yeah.
I can remember.
Well, that he's closed.
Okay, shuttlecraft from the original series.
I just feel that the
Yeah.
captain has become
Yeah, that's right. Look at that. You think that's an actual working prop?
I don't know.
It is dangerous.
Yeah, you can still kind of see the rainbow streaks there.
Yeah.
Then he'd have to be released.
No, this looks a lot better than it did. There's just a lot of garish colors, and they kind of bled over
Pure speculation.
the film.
He has done nothing to
Yeah.
subject the Enterprise to danger.
It looked a lot like it was shot on video.
evidence of incapacity.
So in this meeting, they're basically saying, Captain's acting weird. We need to look for some kind of legal loophole to remove him from command.
Overt, unusual behavior.
They're either going the safety route, where Riker can just say, you're out. We all agree that you should not be captain.
Still in your corner.
The other option is to go the medical route, where he's unfit for command.
And I think
You'll have to back me up somehow.
that Riker in later years would have taken charge of this.
Yeah.
Right now, he doesn't know Picard well enough to know that, like,
Supplemental.
Picard's going to take him seriously if he says that you're not in command anymore.
Yeah.
Dr. Crusher has more going on. They have more going on where, he's going to ask why. But now they're going to find out a little bit more about what's up with him.
But at least they're serving bureaucracy here. Now, Beverly and Riker are basically saying, we don't think that you should be captain. He says, why? They don't know.
What can I do for you, number one? Sir, Counselor Troy has recommended the examination.
Same question.
What would it be like do you live on the Enterprise, be in your crew quarters, and like you wake up and like things are streaking past, or you look out and nothing's moving. I mean, you'd have. I figure a lot of people would either request quarters that didn't have windows that looked outside the ship, or would just keep them closed all the time. That'd be really jarring.
Well, there's the second or third episode of Enterprise. Hoshi asks for quarters on a certain side of the ship because the stars are going the wrong way, according to her.
That's really weird because, of course, if you move in three-dimensional space, they could be going in literally any direction.
Yeah. So Picard outwitted them and said, "You think I need to test? I order both of you to take tests."
Knowledge is always our primary mission. I'm sorry, I really am too busy for this kind of nonsense.
This is where Picard, he still really hasn't
I have to call security.
fallen into that character of who he is.
Exactly.
He's still, in these early episodes, he's still very abrasive. It's not very open to people. Extremely formal. Mysterious, enigmatic, I guess.
If I had
you could
that
say.
office, I would look out the window like that all the time.
All the time.
You're
Yeah.
walking along.
And for some reason,
whoa!
Yeah?
Ow! 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 Ow!
Sorry, wrong species.
Yeah.
Bring in security chief. You're here. Security guard.
Security's doing a really bad job
I
of
know.
keeping these folks under control.
The lethal game. I want to return to
But I always wondered why they went with the lighting choices. They turned off all the corridor lights.
Yeah, it is really bizarre. And that might have been because the snakes, don't like bright light.
Yeah. Well, the same person who came up with these two species, Andrew Probert, also designed the Enterprise D.
Huh.
So it's the same guy.
Well, it's nice that they actually, made masks for the aliens instead of just forehead prosthetics.
Right?
You don't care.
I always thought that was a cop-out when they just did something with the nose.
Now, it's interesting that she's still doing the same hand acting that she was doing when she was possessed.
Is she?
Yeah.
He is here.
Jean-Luc, I know.
This is a conversation they should have had in Act 1.
Yep.
More frightens.
It really would have moved the show along. Because the alien inside of Picard is opening up. He's saying, "I'm here.
You
We're good.
Yep.
I want to do other things. I'm not hurting anybody."
First officer's log, the supplemental.
Back at the Nebula.
Captain Picard, we have returned to the vicinity of the energy pattern cloud.
Though I like the spooky music. This is kind of an evolution in the series. In fact, again, I said
And
this
they've
was Ron Jones.
Color corrected this quite a bit too. I mean, you could tell there's like a giant floodlight to the right of everybody sitting on the bridge,
Yep.
and they lit it. They've brought it up a little bit nicer so it doesn't look quite as garish.
So Ron Jones also composed for DuckTales, American Dad, Family Guy,
Nice.
Fairly Odd Parents.
I have an announcement for the entire bridge.
I think he
Many of
won.
you suspected.
He won an Emmy for
On the edge of this,
what's it called?
accidentally carried away.
The first episode of Best of Both Worlds,
Like these
and then he was fired from
energy patterns
the show.
we're seeing here. Terrifying experience for any intelligent being. As if a great claw had reached down and scooped one of you from your home world.
Yikes!
Drawn into the
And this is a really validating experience he's explaining.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm an alien and I've been plucked and I'm confused.
couldn't understand.
He accidentally killed somebody
Yeah.
and said, "Hey, I'm sorry."
Then discovering the computer intelligence in this ship's memory circuits. Oh, simplistic intelligence. But it furnished it enough to slow this enterprise thing that had captured it. And it very much regrets the accidental death of Engineer Singh.
Captain, you exist in combination with this entity?
Is it in control of you, sir? Very soon after we had combined, we'd learned much about each other. Passion for exploration.
See, I really like this because he's kind of explaining that he's become a hybrid creature
Yeah.
of the alien and the captain. So at what point does the captain lose consent?
Yep. But I think it's something he's open to. Picard's whole deal is humanity evolves.
Mm-hmm.
They move past what they are.
And that's what he's become.
Yeah. And the Borg picked him for that reason.
Yeah.
His planning for being himself and the entity.
I don't think that an assimilation of Worf would have worked as well. Well, I mean, that was the first one that this alien got was Worf.
Worf
didn't want it.
Worf is not about change. He's
Yeah.
about the status quo.
Yeah, Worf didn't want it. Crusher didn't want it, and let's hope it's because it was indifferent to her kid and her need to offer medical stuff to the crew. Singh just died.
So listen to the music here. This sounds like classic theme music that we hear throughout all 7 seasons, right? Mm-hmm. The person who wrote this was let go after about the 4th season because supposedly his music was thought to be too noticeable.
Ah.
And this is what Rick Bierman said. And I'm just thinking to myself, these are themes that have sustained throughout all 7 seasons. It's kind of cool how everyone's getting shocked there. I talked right through it.
Yeah.
The chief is out.
He can run this transporter by himself. I'm going to push the pumpkin button. It's on.
So he is beaming not his body into space, but just the energy. Which explained in previous episodes that the transporter converts matter into energy and vice versa.
Energy only. Every effort has been made to determine his whereabouts.
The transporter chief has no idea what the coordinates were, sir.
So he's just floating around out there? How come we settle for that?
Give me a choice, then. Still no readings. No sign of anything.
That would have been neat if they could have done an effect of what that really looked like for Picard to go out there and be one with the cloud.
Yeah, I think they're about to just give up and move on.
Mr. LaForge. It's time to set a course for Parliament.
They're going back to
Parliament!
No.
We're really needing it.
We're leaving him for Parliament. Oh, what?
The entity.
Oh, he's out there. So Troy's cold read saves the day. This is the first time it's useful.
Wasn't possible out there. He's in trouble, so we have to beam him back.
Beam him back as well.
Could you imagine that? So it's like
The entity was caught in the ship's
you've had this serious conversation with, an entity that's like, yeah, you could become one with like space and float around. It's going to be great. And it convinced you. I believe Picard was totally into wanting to do this.
Well, it's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
And this isn't the first time. When they first introduced the Trill,
Yeah.
they made that symbiotic relationship an evil thing, and I never understood, but then was later accepted as, hey, it's okay. Well, Trek Next Gen, when it first started out, anything alien was bad. Even though you're different from us, we're not really going to accept it.
It would be kind of like if...
Oh, look at that. Did you see the P?
I feel it.
So this is what I noticed in the new version versus the old version.
Something crazy on my panel.
This panel's going wonky.
And Riker.
P for Picard.
Yep.
Peter Picard.
So what was it you noticed between the new and the old version?
Come to the transporter room, please.
There might be a way, sir. Hurry.
But no, it's like imagine like if you fell in. It's like maybe like if you fell in love with a mermaid, And she was like, yeah, you can breathe underwater. And then you're down there for like a day, and it's like, yeah, so every time you breathe down here, like 0.3% of water gets in your lungs.
Oh.
Yeah.
You just slowly die.
Yeah. That's what I imagine it's like for Picard out there. It's not going to happen all at once, but you're not going to make it.
Yeah. Everyone looking with suspense. Notice Troy has kind of given up her poop face.
Yeah.
Her acting has gotten a lot better. There he is. Welcome back, Krabby Picard.
Didn't even fall. I mean, he's just standing upright. But of course that goes along with what they said, that it was just his energy patterns.
I'm
So
confused. This Picard pattern was formed before he went out there.
So technically,
and now the
does that mean that Picard has died and is reincarnated?
yeah, there's a really good Star Trek comic where McCoy goes to a planet where that's going on with everybody, where they're not actually being transported anywhere. They're just recreating themselves so they don't get sick or old every time they use a transporter.
It's like pulling a backup copy of a Word
Yeah.
document you're working from. Oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
Oh, Data, he gets to really nurse that Sherlock Holmes persona. Turns out to be really great. One of my favorite episodes with Moriarty.
This ending is so weird.
Sorry, Commander, but Security Team 2 reports they've discovered a puddle of blood outside the cellar quarters, and they can't find one of the delegates. And
Lieutenant,
Wait,
She's like, puddle of blood, like, the faucet won't shut off in the bathroom, and we tried. We got a wrench.
we don't have time to deal
And
with
that's
two
like-
warring groups.
Yeah.
Becca, what were the peace delegates and all?
This crap.
I think I do need a rest.
This episode needs a rest.
I know, they should have had, like, more of a stinger at the end of this.
Though I
They
like
do-
the funny
they do
music.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, wait a minute.
Well, they kill the guy and want the cook to eat him. And so we've come to the end of a rather lackluster episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. I'd like to give a big salute to Kaveh Raz, whose name just came up, who played the role of Singh. We're sorry we didn't get to enjoy you in more episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. If you liked this episode 8 of Star Trek The Next Generation, Justice is already waiting for you to listen to on our Facebook page.
Woohoo! And just want to make sure to check out our website. We have a lot of great brother and sister podcasts. So check out the family and see what we've got. And we look forward to seeing you on the flip side. If you'd like to contact us, you can find us on Facebook, Next Generation's First Generation Podcast. On iTunes, you can find us at Next Generation's First Generation, and our email address is nextgenfirstgenpod@gmail.com. Again, that's nextgenfirstgenpod@gmail.com.